So hopefully, all right, boom, there it goes. It didn't even give us a countdown, just came straight into it. So we'll get started. Johnathan, I'm pumped to have you on. This is the Business, Life, and Brotherhood. I call it a podcast, but we do it on video. Sure. But let's jump right in. If for those listening and watching at home that haven't met you, don't know you, you want to give like a 45-second kind of synopsis with who you are, what you do, and we'll just take it from there.
No, for sure. Joined AKSI 2009, graduated from Eastern Washington University in 2011. Double majored in marketing and finance. Later on, went to Villanova to get my Master's of Science in Analytics. I've been a strategic business analyst, everything from finance to operations to sales over the last 5 to 7 years, depending on if you're counting an accounting analyst versus an investment analyst versus analytics and intelligence. So yeah, just kind of doing life, and work's treating me well, and always trying to continue my lifelong learning and keep moving forward. So yeah, one day at a time though.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so break that, because I'm a guy who studied poli-sci, right? Okay. I got into college, and I was going to get a business degree. And then they told me that the 2-year degree I got at the Tacoma wasn't going to be something that I could transfer in and continue on with a business degree. So when folks start talking analytics and finance and this stuff, is there an easy way to break that down to what you're actually doing?
100%. So day to day, I look at my organization's data. I work for a company called Easy Access. We sell nationwide modular ramps, decks, and steps. We do ADA access, IBC compliant ramps. That's commercial code, commercial industrial products, residential products for people with physical disabilities. So people in wheelchairs or people that just simply need some help accessing either public or private buildings. And so I look at all the data we capture from who the customer is to if we won or lost a job, and I kind of be competitive with our pricing, with strategies, with our contractors, with any data that we can bring into the company. I look at that, and then I go and I recommend strategy, whether that be moving pricing up or down, whether that be whether to go, no go, as far as are we going to spend money going after this opportunity. I then do a lot of our data visualization. And so I take all of our data and let our entire team see it visually through a Microsoft product called Power BI. And so I visualize a lot of our sales, operational, finance, accounting data, so we have easier access to what's going on a either refreshed or live or 1 day later view, depending on what everybody wants to look at. I take this data, I create reports with it. We call it descriptive analytics. So call it reporting, what happened. So I guess I'll walk you kind of through the process of what I do. I measure first. First, we want to go and we want to capture all of our data. Basically, we're measuring all of our business activities internally and externally. From there, we retain our data. So we capture it using a lot of different interfaces, but at the end of the day, it all winds up in a lot of different SQL Server tables. From there, we analyze the data. I get to find out what's going on. I get to see why things are happening. And then I get a report on the data, which gets you into that descriptive analytics. It's another name for reporting on what's happened. We then diagnose. We tell people, yes, this happened. Here's why it happened. We won the job because we were well priced. We lost the job because we were too slow. So we kind of go through, and each opportunity within our organization, we find out why we're winning and why we're losing, and letting them know here's what it is and why it happened. From there, we get to predict and forecast moving forward. This is how much I think I'm going to sell. This is where I think I'm going to sell it. These are the plants I think we should build it in. And so off of that, we create budgets for the year, and we decide how many people we want to employ, and we go forward and forecast how much we need to spend to be successful for the year based off of what our sales team has agreed to sell.
Okay.
and then I predict here's where the market is going, here's what our customers are doing, here's what cost of goods are moving towards, and so I can look at things like revenue and gross profit and retained earnings and all sorts of different accounting and analytical metrics that I have visibility to and get to report on.
Okay.
And so the broad scope of things is predicting what's going to happen. And then I prescribe or implement strategy. Here's how we're going to be most effective as an organization. If we implement X, Y, and Z, we're going to make this much money, or we're going to make our customer this happy, or whatever our end goal is strategically from a sales or operational perspective. We recommend strategy to make us more efficient, save time, save money, make money, etc. So
basically, it's like getting scientific on the sales process, what you're doing well, where you're falling short, and how to improve. Sure. And then the same kind of idea with manufacturing, right? Where it makes sense to make the make the product, and for shipping and cost of.
So,
go ahead.
So as an example, like if we have 6,500 parts, raw goods, subcomponents, finished goods, what do we have? When do we need to buy it? When do we need to stock it? When do we need to have it in inventory so we're ready to ship it out? So it's just trying to get in front of that rather than hand to mouth. Like so-and-so ordered this. Okay, I need to buy it. I need to make it. I need to ship it. So we just try and get in front of that.
Nice. And so with your clients, because you talked about what the customer's needs are and this, that, and other stuff, you said you were nationwide, right? So does that mean that you're working with mostly some of the commercial builders, folks that are putting up cranes and building buildings, or are you working with a lot of just small offices, or is it a mix of both?
No, for sure. So we sell a lot into, so we have multiple different markets. If you want to divide it into a home or private or residential space, there's commercial and industrial as a space. We have government markets as a space. So you're talking, where does the money come from? Does it come from the federal side, or does it come from the non-federal side? We can kind of differentiate between those two. And it's different strategies for different markets. And we go into a lot of different federal agencies and ask them if they have either veterans, if it's a VA, or if they have military bases that need ADA compliance, or if on the commercial side, if a school needs a ramp because they're buying a new portable. So I do a lot of the business development too, and trying to find opportunities for our organization to sell into as well, because that falls under like market research and data. I'm looking and researching to find opportunity, whereas sales is more the relationship side. And so if you think of sales as relationship and the activity and closing the deal, I'm kind of the brain behind where do we need to get in front of them, what shows do we need to go to, and here's what we think is going to happen. So
nice.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a ton of different people. We have lots and lots of customers, thousands of them across the country, and whether we sell direct or through dealers or distributors or overseas exporting, there's a lot of different things to look at and to be cognizant of when it comes to the organization's data. So yeah,
100%, man. That's awesome. One thing, like what I'd like to do is kind of see, trace back where from your position here, some of the other positions you've had, and was this space when you were in college? Were you like, man, I want to get into ADA ramps, or how did you end up navigating through?
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because I think a lot of folks, one of the things that I want to do with this podcast is at least have members be able to watch it and see some of the different avenues out there, and see some of the different people that are having those successes, and maybe a place they weren't really thinking was an opportunity. So how did you post college get to where you are?
So for sure, networking is hugely important, because every single job that I've ever gotten has been recommended from somebody. And so literally I every single one. So my first job out of college, I had a friend who was working at a company called Northwestern Mutual. I did that for 6 months, didn't feel well trained or prepared, and it wasn't a great fit right out of college for me. I know lots of people who are wildly successful selling insurance. That wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. I like numbers. I liked finance. I got a degree in it. The whole financial planning thing I think is smart, and I think everybody should do. And that's kind of what I wanted to do for people. But the company that I had worked for had wanted me to go out and sell insurance primarily to start. I was like, eh. And also to friends and family. So I was like, not my cup of tea right now. So I left that. I went to a company called Dairy Gold. They're a large dairy company. So you're talking milk, cheese, butter, used to be ice cream, dry whey, just lots of different products. But I worked on their accounting team as an analyst. I did cash applications. So when people paid us, I would go and apply that. And I got really, really good at the whole 10 key because that's what I did most of my days, applying invoices to match the invoice. And the customers would be good because they paid their 4,000 invoices that I just keyed in. Took them digital from storing everything hard copy, paper copy, and I was like, you guys know you can store this on your computers and you don't have to keep physical inventories of every single. Yeah, so that was fun to kind of take them and do it that way. I was just like, you guys need to not have a giant room full of paper that you're never gonna look at again. Like, that's not. Anyways, so we took them digital, so that was fun. Moved into an AR analyst position, accounts receivable. And then it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. I was never really wanting to go into accounting, but that's something I fell into because there was an open opportunity and I wanted a different job than my first one. And so an opportunity came up to work at an investment consulting company. Once again, kind of goes back to that financial planning. I'm a numbers guy, and I felt like I'm great at research, and it's something that was very, very intriguing to me. There was a consultant that gave me an opportunity, and a month and a half into it, 2 months into it, she actually left the organization I was working at. Anyways, I feel like this organization lost a few clients. I wasn't getting trained appropriately, and they didn't need a fourth analyst. So I was actually let go in 2013. This is 2 years after my graduation, and I'm on my third job, and I'm like, wow, I didn't want to hop around all that much. So I'm like freaking out, like, what's this look like? Like, what am I gonna do? I still don't know. Like, I just wanted to. I mean, I loved the organization, Dairy Gold, the environment, and I wouldn't have ever left there. But this investment consulting company paid me a lot more with great potential. It just didn't work out. So here I am, no job, 2 years after college for about a month and a half, 2 months. And a buddy of mine who runs the organization I work for now, he called me up. He's like, hey, have you ever thought of analytics and strategy? And I'm like, well, I'm good at research and I'm great with numbers and I'm pretty good competing. I've always been a very competitive person. And so that's something that, I mean, I took stat classes, excuse me, in college, and I feel like I'd be a great research analyst. And so he's like, hey, I'll give you a job. I was like, sweet, got a job again. This is good. I like to eat. I like to pay rent. So this is a good deal. So started working for them and was wildly successful with a lot of the strategies that we put into play because there wasn't a whole lot of data usage prior to me getting there. And so we got to make reports, we got to develop strategies, and we took market share significantly over in a matter of 6 months. And that just went, we gained sales and moved up over the next 18 months. And it was really, really good. And I went from a junior analyst to a data analyst to a sales analyst for all of sales into a business intelligence role. After I got my master's, I was like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I like strategy and competing, and I might as well go get a master's. I told myself before I even graduated undergrad at Eastern that I wanted my master's degree by 30. I just didn't know what in. So hence the wide variety from a marketing degree, a finance degree, an econ minor, and a master of science in analytics. I still don't really know what my calling is. I just know if you keep learning, you're going to be okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been here almost 5 years now. That'll be in January, and yeah, it's been a ride. But yeah, I didn't expect to be at an aluminum ramp manufacturing company out of college, but once again, that networking is super important. And I even got a buddy of mine. His name is Zach. He was in AKSI with me. I got him a job. He's working with us now. So
boom.
Yeah,
that's a perfect segue. That's what I was gonna. So the buddy that offered you this position or allowed you the opportunity to come over, were they from college, from AK Psi, from high school? How did you know them?
I actually was his son's youth leader, so I knew him through church. So I have a lot of people that have quote unquote adopted me, and they just look out for me and want what's best for me. Like I'm a good human. I like to give back. I'm a good attitude, positive person, and I give and volunteer a lot. And so just from those aspects, like there's a lot of people that want to see me do well. And if they hear I'm looking for a job and they have a job opening, they're like, hey, Johnathan, possible fit, you know? And so there's a lot of people that reach out and send me job opportunities frequently or want to hire me, etc. And I told myself that I wanted to be somewhere for 5 years. I was like, I don't want to hop around. so
good.
Yeah, so I'll have been there 5 years again in January, and I'll have met my quota or my goal as far as that's concerned. But yeah, like hugely network's important. It's still important. Like if I wanted to move or if I wanted to stay, like I still want that opportunity to network and to meet people and to continue to learn. Like a lot of the values that they instill in you in AK Psi way back in 2009, when I had to learn the entire study book, like it's so true. Lifelong learning, like your networking, your brotherhood, your friends, like you can get a lot. I'm not saying this to be selfish or whatever, but you can grow and learn and get a lot out of those personally, professionally. I mean, I had an AK Psi member that moved to my city and started going to my church because we were in the same business for now. And she started coming to my church and she really, really liked it. And she moved to my area. I'm just like, you moved from like Colville, Washington to Maple Valley because you like my, you know, and everyone has their own thing that's important to them and whatnot. But just that brotherhood can impact your life significantly.
It's practical. It's super practical. And I think that's one thing that they don't like. A lot of people don't get the like being a good person, like being, you know, giving, doing well, like the karma. It's super practical. Like those things come around, you know. And it's funny because we always position it in that brotherhood conversation, right? Because we have experienced those things within the fraternity. But just in life, anybody who has those groups of people that, you know, they feel maybe they weren't in a fraternity, but they are part of a good church family, and you know that's practical because they're involved. So
no, for sure,
it's I think that kind of stuff is super important because, you know, all those people who are out there hustling and doing stuff and meeting people and connecting. Guess what? It's practical. It works.
It really does.
Well, I wanted to jump in just like super quick about your being in chapter and kind of some of the stuff you did or experiences you had, events, any leadership roles you had or anything. What was that experience like for you in college?
No, for sure. So I want to say starting spring quarter, the first year I was at Eastern, I got involved in everything. There wasn't a marketing association. There used to be a marketing club, but I started up the marketing association first. And so I was the president because I was the only one in it. And then I rushed for AK Psi. I almost even didn't make it into AK Psi because I didn't have enough time to study for it. And I was just like crazy busy, like 16, 17-hour days every day of classes, intramurals, hanging out with friends, you know, volunteering, doing all the different clubs and organizations, and I almost didn't make it in, you know. And so I studied really, really hard for a court of honor and did well, and they let me in by the skin of my teeth, and I'm blessed that I was able to be a part of it. But yeah, let's see what else. So I got involved in the marketing association, got involved in AK Psi leadership roles. So I started out, I did marketing from 1 year. When I first started, I want to say there was probably 14, 15 members in it. By the time I ended, and by all means, I'm not saying this was me. We just had a really good run. We went from like 14 people to the time I graduated, we had like 40. And you're still thinking it's not a huge chapter, only 40 students, but We went from 14 to 40 over the course of like 2 years, which is really cool. It's like almost 3x growth over 2 school years. And so I think that everybody that played a part in the kind of the synergy that we had amongst the group made it desirable to want to be a part of the group. And you have all sorts of different personalities, from your workaholic / involved in way too many things to I'm here just to learn and fellowship and have brotherhood to, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but this seems like a good thing to get involved in, you know? And so you got all the different aspects of that. Anyways, from marketing chair to president my senior year, it was crazy. I didn't realize how much planning and work went into it. And I was like, man, president just gets to delegate everything. That's so not true. If anybody doesn't do it, it kind of falls to the president to do it. So, no, it was super fun. I mean, I got the opportunity to do the case study down at PBLI twice. That was really, really cool. We got top 10 one year. I won't say how many. I want to say 24 teams signed up for it. And we got 10th. So that was fun. But yeah, even the Reno trip was awesome. Like, just the memories and the fun that we had, and we're always talking about it. We always remember it, and words always things we'll never talk about. So
yeah.
It was just really, really cool. So like I think the fact that we have those memories and that bond. Like I went down to San Francisco like 4 months ago and called up my buddy Chrissy. She is married now. I haven't seen her in 5 years. She lived in Hawaii for a little bit. Now she lives in San Francisco. And I was like, hey, I'm in San Fran. Are you free?
Yeah.
And we just hung out and we grabbed a drink, and it was good to just catch up and see her. And so literally these friendships can last your lifetime, especially with Facebook and social media and how in touch we can all stay connected. It's pretty cool. So
100%.
I see friends that live all over the state, all over the country. Yeah, and it's fun.
Well, with being involved like that, well, one thing I always think of is like, I wish there was like a president's club where everybody could like lean on each other. You know, we try because doing it, you're like, you're in the mix of it. You're going, oh wait, yeah, no, I guess this is my responsibility. How do we get this done? Who should I call? But I wanted to follow up because what you were talking about with jumping in and doing so many things, and now before we hit record, you're talking about getting trained up for, was it a half or a full marathon?
Half marathon.
I'm
not even close to a full, but I told my mom, she's in the hospital right now, but for her 60th birthday she wanted to run a marathon, and so her and I next year need to run a marathon at some point. So I figured, wow, I need to get in shape. I need to lose some weight anyway. So I signed up for a half marathon down in LA on October 28th, the rock and roll down there. I did Seattle last year. I'll do LA this year, and I'm going to try and do a full one next year if my body's up for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's awesome. Do you find yourself like going out and pushing yourself physically often, or just usually people that are like, have a fair amount of hustle and drive, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff too. So what does that look like for you?
No, for sure. So I'm highly involved in sports, and I'm still way too competitive. And so, I mean, I play everything from like church league softball to rec basketball leagues to indoor soccer. Oh, nice. I'm just trying to list the ones I've played. I've played ultimate frisbee a couple times. I like to stay active. I think that's a huge part of who I am, and the fact that I always have a weight range I want to stay between, and I'm currently above it. So I was like, I need to run, and I know for myself the best way to get me to run is to have a goal. All right, well, what's my goal? Run a half marathon again. Well, sign up, pay for it. And then it's like, dang it, it's in 2 months.
Yep, pull out that wallet.
I should probably start running. And I signed up, and it's $150, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But then it's the flight, and it's the hotel, and it's like, dude, you're putting $500. Freaking, you better finish this stupid half marathon, And so just even if it's competition against myself, like I want to do better than my last year's time, and I want to lose weight and eat better, and I think the best way to do it is to just jump in and do it.
You have to. Yeah, it's Nike all the way. You just have to do it.
Just do it. Exactly, right? So I try and stay active. I try and continue to give there's 3 T's, right? There's time, talent, treasure, right? I still try and volunteer all of those things in some way, shape, or form. Just because I feel like if I'm only living for me and what I want, I feel like I'm missing the boat in life and generically speaking. So
I like that.
Yeah, so I give up time and I volunteer at church. I give up talent and I use a lot of my skill set. I help friends out that have small businesses, either do visualization or some research for them.
That's killer, man.
And treasure, most churchgoers in some way, shape, or form give of time, talent, or money in some way. So I try and do that as well.
Yeah. Well, with all that you've done up to now, and if you were gonna give yourself you're gonna talk to you from now back to your college days or high school, and give yourself 2 real pieces of tangible advice to help you get to wherever, to get where you are faster or to get to your goals faster. What would be like 2 solid pieces of tangible advice that you'd give yourself?
Write what you want to accomplish down. Get a plan for getting there and move towards that goal one day at a time. A lot of times goals are daunting and huge and you just don't make any progress because you don't know where to start. Fully, I believe if you write it, I think a goal becomes very practical when you give it steps to get there. And I think if you are intentional about working towards that goal every day or every week or whatever that looks like for you, depending on what the goal is, I think you go from there. So for me, is this half marathon example at 13.1, I'm not just going to go out and run 13.1 miles. It's like, hey, I'm going to run 2 miles. I'm going to dust the cobwebs off for the next couple weeks. And then I'm going to run 4 to 6 miles 3 or 4 times to try and actually build up some endurance. And then I'll run like 8 miles a couple times and just pray I can get through the last 5 on day of. So that's just kind of my goal. I feel like if you can get to 9, you can get to 13. And knowing I did it last year already, and I even bought new shoes and shorts, right? So that should help, right? So,
yeah, of course.
And then another piece of advice: don't do it alone. Do life and do goals and do everything in community. It's much better to do it as a team or in a group than it is to accomplish it by yourself. Like, while I'm very competitive and I want to beat everyone, there's no point in doing certain things if you're doing it by yourself the whole time. You
the whole self-made thing. Sorry, like somebody along the way pushed you in the right direction or coached you. You got some advice or something happened. Yeah, I dig that.
Totally a community effort, and just because you're the one who are reaping the rewards right now, it wasn't only you that got you there. You had teachers, you had friends, you had buddies, you had support. I mean, it's a team effort, and just don't let it go to your head if you are wildly successful at something, because you worked hard and you did all the right things, and you had a group of people that wanted you to do well, and then good for you. That's awesome, and I fully encourage everybody to work towards that. But it's much more worth it if you can say we did it, or we are successful, or thank all the people that helped you get there, right? I mean, unless you're a professional golfer, don't be. I mean, even they had trainers, right? So
they have coaches. I mean, that's the thing.
And caddies and all that kind of stuff. So I think,
100%. Well, piggybacking off that, I mean, when people watch this, when they hear this, I want them to be able to pull as much value as they can from it, because this is, we're not gurus, we're real people, you know what I mean? And we're doing things that are actually working and having life happen and achieving goals and that sort of stuff. So I wanted to ask, with your experience so far and what you've accomplished and kind of where you see your future going. I mean, what do you think sets apart people that that do hit their goals, that are successful for whatever that looks like. But you know what I mean? Like, what do you think really sets apart those people who achieve and get where they're trying to go versus those that don't? That makes sense?
It fully, 100%. I think they're intentional about working towards what they want to work towards. I think they have it ingrained in their mind, I want this.
Yeah.
And they have it so clear that as opposed to wasting the weekend playing Fortnite or whatever people are playing, right? Assassin's Creed or Halo or Battlefield or all
Mario Brothers.
I'm talking a video game world because that's a huge vice for me. But like, you're just super intentional. This is what I want. This is how I want to get there, and I'm gonna work towards that goal until I'm there, right? And they don't give up. They don't let setbacks set them back, stop them, discourage them. I think so many people like, I want this. The one, they don't work hard for it. Two, they give up when they run into trouble and they're just like, eh. Like, I've talked to so many people like, I don't like my job. Do something about it. I can't. Go back to school. Well, I can't afford. Well, get a loan. Like you're just making excuses to not do it, right? It's just like, hey, like, if you don't like your job, actively look for a different job and then go quit your job and go to this perceivably other better job. But don't talk about it for 4 years because you've been talking about it for 4 years and sorry, And so
you haven't done anything, so nothing has happened. That's
insanity, right? So you want a different result, and you're going to do the same thing. Anyways, so for sure, I think they're more intentional. I think they continue to learn. I think they continue to read and keep their skill set sharp because at the end of the day, you're a sharp knife right out of school. Like, you have all this newfound knowledge and you're ready to use it. But if you don't learn year after year after year after year after year, you're super dull come 5 years in, hoping that that's going to raise you up. So I think if people continue to learn, continue to develop their skill set, I think that's a huge bonus to
100%.
So continue to learn and be intentional. I would say are a couple things that set them apart.
With the clarity piece and the writing down your goals piece, I mean, I think that those are both huge things. And it reminded me of kind of that think and grow rich mentality, right?
Yeah, fully.
Absolute clarity, and work towards your goals. And when you were talking about writing down goals, the first thing I thought of, and I don't know if you listen to Grant Cardone at all, but he talks about writing down your goals every morning and every night, because that's going to give you clarity on, maybe they change from morning to night, but if you start seeing those consistent patterns, then it's like, oh, that's super important to me. It's top of mind. Your reticular activator says, hey, that's something I'm focused on. And it's go. So I super dig that. Who are you taking advice from, life advice? Like, are you listening to podcasts? Are you into, like I mentioned, Grant Cardone? Do you listen to gurus? Do you read up on those kind of things?
No, there's Rich Dad Poor Dad. There's Think and Grow Rich. There's a ton of motivational sell or be sold books out there that I think you go, and if you read, call it a book a month, I think you're 11 books ahead of everybody else right now, especially if it's I'm just saying, like most people probably maybe read a book a year. Like, and if they do read a book, it might be fantasy or something for leisure, right? It's not, I'm continuing to grow my mentality or my skill set or something. I think that if people continue to grow, to learn, I think that they're better. And I tell people this all the time, like, you don't have to be smart, you have to be resourceful. Everything's out there. The internet these days, like, you want a particular SQL code, I can go look it up on GitHub real quick. What are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Here your code is, right? And so we can go and do stuff like that. But as far as books are concerned, I try and read something once a month. I got a group of people that send me a book every month. And then I've got people in industry. So that there's not any other analysts like myself within the organization that I work for, but I've got people that are ahead many, many years in their career that are always like, Johnathan, get this certificate. It'll make you relevant. Continue to learn or read these books. I recommend doing this course or this class or read this book. And it's just like, I've got mentors and confidants and people that have made it where I currently want to go. And I asked him, how'd you get there? What'd you do? What should I be doing right now? This is what I want to accomplish in 5 to 10 years. What do I need to do today to get there?
Yep,
and
that's
so,
perfect.
Yeah, and the continuing to network and continuing to be relevant and continuing to stay on top of things. Like, if you're staying stagnant, you're moving back because there are people that are jumping you. So I fully recommend surrounding yourself with people you desire to be like and continue to progress.
That's awesome, man. Outside of work, where I've just got a handful of questions to wrap up with. But outside of work, where can people catch you? Where can people find you? If somebody saw this and they were like, man, I got to connect with Johnathan, he sounds super dialed in, where would they find you?
I'm on my social medias all the time, always logged in, so they can Facebook me. I'm at Sounders game. I've got season tickets to the Sounders games.
Boom.
So that's always fun. I like to get out and cheer on my sports teams. I volunteer at times at my church. I can plug that, New Community Church in Maple Valley. That's where I spend some of my free time. I play for the softball team down at Russell Road in Kent during the summers. Come winter time, gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing this year. My soccer team disbanded. Actually, it's been a couple years now, but I'll find something to do for sure. But yeah, I'm pretty easily accessible, I think. And if you want to give them links to Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that, they can find me and ask me to reach out. And I'm pretty easygoing, I like to think.
Yeah, I'm not super technical, but I think I can figure out how to drop those into the thing and so that people can find you.
For sure.
Was there anything, I know, I feel like we could have gone on and on with a bunch of that stuff, but I know we're pressed for time, but is there anything that we didn't cover that jumping in? I mean, you were so gracious just to say yes and make it happen so quick. So I super appreciate you connecting with me.
No, for sure.
Was there anything that you had expected or thought or wanted to touch on that we didn't talk about?
I think what do I want to accomplish in the next 5 years? I think that's a good one. I want to be a small business owner. I'd like to do what I do for multiple organizations and potentially consult in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of companies out there that still don't use data all that much. So you can ask me in 5 years how that went. That's definitely a written down goal. Be a small business owner, eventually a large business owner would be good. What else? I'd like to don't have a family right now, so I think I'd like to have family in the near future, but by all means, it's in God's hands, so we'll see what happens there. I want to buy a house. I don't have my own house yet, so I rented on Lake Story for about 7 years and taking care of my mom's house while she's in the hospital right now. So just lots of life goals, and we'll check them off one by one. But don't be in any rush, and don't think you're behind, and don't compare yourself to someone else's life, because
the highlight reel will confuse people, right? I mean, everybody's looking at the highlight reel going, oh, they're doing all this amazing stuff. And you forget, man, you got to check those boxes yourself too. You got to get after it.
For sure. So don't feel you're ahead or behind, and don't get cocky and arrogant or depressed because you're not where you thought you were going to be. So just one day, one, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So live life one day at a time and don't freak out. It'll be all right. So
That's it, man. I super appreciate you jumping on. We'll put all your contact info below. And I'm just really grateful that you were so gracious to jump on so quickly. So I super appreciate it, man.
Justin, good to see you.
All right, you too. I'll talk to you.
Hey, have a good day.